Well, we're going to move on now with a business update. I'm joined for that here in the studio by Brian Quinn. Good morning, Brian.
Morning, Catherine.
Now, you're starting us off with an update on a news story that we were following last week. This scandal in Brazil's meatpacking industry about out-of-date meat being sold.
Yeah, it's been a major black eye for the country's agricultural industry. Allegations that some of Brazil's biggest meatpacking plants had been bribing inspectors for years to allow expired or spoiled meat to market. On Monday, Brazil ordered 3 more plants to halt production. That's on top of 6 others already temporarily shut down. Last week, Brazilian meat exports fell 19% as major importers like China and the EU moved to suspend their imports. The EU's Commissioner for Health and Food Safety was in Brazil Monday for a visit. He spoke of the need to quickly restore trust.
People need to receive safe food. It means that official control must act in very active manner and guarantee that their actions must create trust. And it's about trust.
All right, proper scandal there. No one likes the idea of eating expired meat, do they?
Myself.
No, damaging to the reputation of those meatpacking industry there. I've got some news from here in France. A standoff between employers and unions, which is coming to a head today.
Yeah, that's right. Today marks the final meeting between negotiators from France's unions and its largest employer federation, as they try to hammer out a deal on extra taxes to be paid on short-term employment contracts in the country. It's an issue that's dogged the country as it struggles to reduce unemployment, and it's one with some very real human consequences, as Julia Kim reports.
In 8 years, Natalie has jumped from one short-term contract to another. 144 contracts in total, all within the same company. Some of them span just a few days, and while her employer benefits from the flexibility, Natalie is tired of the lack of job security and all the disadvantages that come with it.
Des moments d'incertitude.
The moments of uncertainty,
Forcément.
certainly.
Un crédit, c'est pas possible.
A bank loan is impossible.
Des vacances aussi.
Vacations too, because of course you're working.
Forcément, vous travaillez.
Many employees in France share Natalie's frustrations, and unions have taken note. This Tuesday, they'll face off with MEDEF, France's largest employer federation, to impose a tax on contracts lasting less than a month. In 10 years, the number of short-term contracts have exploded by more than 230%. Management is supposed to pay extra tax for issuing these types of contracts, but temporary, seasonal and replacement contracts are exempt from this surcharge. Employers say taxing short-term contracts isn't feasible. Hotel bosses like Jean-Mathieu rely on seasonal staff during peak periods.
We need to hire people short-term. It's not that we want to. Imposing extra taxes would discourage us from hiring. It would be more complicated, and we'd have to pass the cost onto the consumer.
Tuesday's meeting is the final chance before the election for employers and unions to strike a deal on the issue.
All right, let's move on with a check on the markets.
Yeah, global shares have been trying to recover from the failure last week of a Republican health care bill in the U.S. Still a lot of uncertainty over what Donald Trump will be able to accomplish with tax reform. European markets shrugging off those concerns, though. London's FTSE 100 up 0.3 as retailer Tesco announced it's paying a fine to settle an accounting probe. The CAC 40 and the Frankfurt DAX up around 3 and 0.6, respectively. Asian shares mostly positive. The Nikkei bounced back from losses yesterday to close up around 1%. The Kospi up a bit as South Korea revised its fourth quarter GDP upward. Shanghai Composite, on the other hand, down around 0.5%. Let's take a look at some more of today's business headlines. China Southern Airlines has announced it will sell a $200 million stake to American Airlines. Guangzhou-based China Southern is the country's biggest airline by passenger numbers. The deal makes American the second U.S. carrier to own a major stake in a Chinese airline. Delta bought a $450 million piece of China Eastern Airlines in 2015. Samsung is hoping to refurbish and resell the 2.5 million Galaxy Note 7 devices it collected during a recall. The Note 7 gained notoriety after a number of incidents of exploding batteries, costing the company billions in lost revenue. Samsung has faced pressure from environmental groups like Greenpeace not to simply junk the devices. The company says it must first get approval from regulatory agencies and local carriers before re-releasing the devices. And Venezuela is set to create a new currency exchange mechanism in an effort to curb inflation. The country currently has two official exchange rates at 10 and 709 bolivars to the dollar, but black market rates can reach as much as 3,000 bolivars per dollar. Previous attempts by the government have so far failed to slow the weakening of the bolivar on the black market.
All right, one final business story. Brian, apparently you've got a lesson for us in the art of the deal.
Yes, a fitting lesson in real estate transactions. Donald Trump's childhood home has just been sold by a New York real estate investor. Michael Davis bought the property in Jamaica Estates, Queens back in December for around $1.4 million. The 5-bedroom brick home was built in the 1940s by Trump's father, Fred, himself a real estate developer. Davis has just sold the property for $2.14 million. That's a 54% profit in about, 4 months? Not bad.
Pretty good there.
He's going to be
Flipping that
tempted to
home.
go into casinos next, unless they don't do it.
And what was the other one? Steaks. That was my favourite
Yeah,
Trump
that's also
business.
maybe not a winning bet.
Thanks very much, Brian Quinn there with our business update.